Opposition's motion to hang the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags in the Parliament right in the middle of NAIDOC week. On the line is Linda Burney, the Shadow Minister for Indigenous Australians. Linda, welcome to Drive.
Hi, Jim, and go the Blues.
I knew you'd say that as being a one-eyed Blues fan. Looking forward to tomorrow night. What reasoning did the government give, Linda, for voting against this?
Well, from my watching the Senate, I'm in the House of Representatives, of course, it seemed that the government took the view that the only flag that should be displayed is the Australian flag. I think forgetting that the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags are both part of the Australian Flags Act. You go to RSL clubs, schools, hospitals, airports, council chambers, bridges, and if you drove down Commonwealth Avenue in Canberra, right now there are hundreds of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags flying. So I don't know what the big deal is, quite frankly.
Well, the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flag's flying on the Harbour Bridge next to the Australian flag, but we've had a lot of callers on the program this afternoon saying we should only have one flag as we're not a divided nation. What do you say to that?
Look, I can understand people that have that view, but, we've got to remember that the Union Jack, of course, is not representative of Australia, and that sits in the corner of our flag. I do love the part of the Australian flag that is the Southern Cross, because I think that really does represent Australia. But the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags, I just appeal to people listening to us, Jim, to people not to think of them as divisive. They're flags that are part of the Australian identity. They're flags that represent something that we all should be rejoicing as Australians, having the longest continuous culture on earth. And the stories behind the flags are really beautiful stories.
Do you understand, though, people's, and the way as I said, the response has been overwhelming this afternoon, that people wouldn't want any other flag than the Australian one hung in our Parliament?
Well, the simple fact is, Jim, is that many parliaments, both legislative assemblies and legislative councils, actually display the Aboriginal and the Torres Strait Islander flag already, and have been doing so for many years in many parliaments around the country, and it's not caused any division. In fact, it's seen as a part of healing, and I think it's a part of showing respect as well. And if you look at, for example, the parliament that I came out of after 13 years, the New South Wales Parliament, the flags fly in both the Legislative Assembly and the Council, and that's the case across this country.
Linda, appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thank you, Jim.
That's Linda Burney, the Shadow Minister for Indigenous Australians. 131873.